Hello and welcome back to LTC Heroes Live by Experience Care. I'm at day 2 at HIMMSS. I've spent almost the entire morning in the innovation and startup area. I'm excited to be talking to, I don't know if she would describe herself as this, but a startup guru, a senior living expert. Her title I have here is, hold on Sarah, one moment before I introduce you, CEO, Executive Strategist and Aging Innovation. Sarah, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Sarah, we were introduced because you are helping and you're on the board, I believe, of Nobi. Is that correct?
Yes, I was just announced this morning as on the board of directors for Nobi.
Congrats. So let's start there. Tell me when you first started a conversation with Nobi, what you were interested in supporting them and working with them, and why you feel like they have a unique advantage as they come into the US market.
Well, I really believe a lot in human-centered design, and the guys at Nobi have just a really brilliant form factor around monitoring through a lamp, which is just in a beautiful design that you don't have to sacrifice form or function. I believe we don't want to wear wearables and be tracked and monitored in really invasive ways. I think that we want to live our life and have information gathered to help us make informed decisions as really just as humans. And if we choose to share that information and data with others to help us with our care or support or with resources, then that's our choice. And so I think that Nobi's set out to do some really great things. It's easy for me to help them, and I don't have a whole lot of time right now to give to anyone unless it's easy. So it's very easy for me to apply some of my resources and connections and knowledge to help support Nobi into the US market.
And so obviously this isn't your first HIMMSS. Nobi's not your first startup. Tell me what other trends or what other projects you're supporting in the senior living space that you're excited about in 2023.
Sure, so most people know that I have 3 buckets that I work with. I help age tech startups enter the market, understand UI, UX, product market fit, go-to-market strategy, support their fundraising efforts. The second bucket is working with the senior living providers themselves. So what is their strategic priority for this year, and what are we trying to do to help to solve in an innovative way, new business lines, new business models, and using technology and innovation to get them where they want to go. So the third bucket is my venture arm, and so I've joined 2 funds as a venture partner for specifically investment in age tech solutions and age tech innovation. And so what I'm excited about is really bridging these 3 in a really meaningful way this year. We're hearing so much about AI and passive monitoring, and of course we've all tried lots of different tools now with really predictive analytics, and it's just catchphrases and buzzwords unless we're able to integrate it in a meaningful way, especially in senior living, especially in senior care. So what can we get from the information and tools that we're gathering to really have actionable insights and make a change to predict and prevent falls, not just capture a fall? How can we look to improve quality of life, wellness and well-being? How can we choose the path that we want to live on as individuals, and then help support people to get there through the use of technology and innovation?
I have 2 questions, and I know that's not how you're supposed to run an interview, but I feel like you're going to be able to, you'll be able to field which one you like and take the other secondly. My question is, you mentioned you help your partners, your teams, your clients kind of focus on the one thing. So my question there is, how has that one thing changed today coming out of COVID, and where do you feel that the focus is, whether it be a facility, an organization, a holding company, or tech? And then my second question, completely unrelated, and I mainly asked because I would forget it if I didn't, is what technology is actually innovative in senior care compared to all of healthcare? I feel like we often get things 5 years, 10 years later than acute. Is there anything that you're seeing that like, oh wow, this is cool, we might be the first here?
Well, that's not fair. You're throwing 2 at one. Okay, so the first one, I think that COVID really impacted our staffing patterns. So I invested in a company called HIMMSS. I came on as CEO during the pandemic because we were looking at senior living operators and the painful points they were going through around getting PPE and then all of their testing and all of their vaccination, and really having trouble keeping staff engaged and really just attracting people into the workforce. And so we have remote staff in Guadalajara, Mexico, to help support our caregivers and our senior living communities, and they're hiring everything from recruiters to engineers and sales folks, graphic designers, everything, that accounting departments, so that they could put their attention on the front line, on the culture in the buildings, on the roles that matter most in the buildings, but really helping to offset the cost as well as quality and find quality talent remote in Mexico. And I mention that because I think everything is now headed in that direction. What can we automate? What can we augment for the workforce? What can we create with robotics to help to support jobs that could be automated in a way or supported in a way to keep people where they need to be in the front line, supporting the bedside, supporting the care and the lifestyle and the customer service. And so technology, I think, for technology's sake is useless. But if it's to help support workflows, better outcomes, better value, and then better supportive services and care, then I'm all for it. And I think that's what we're seeing now touch into senior living, as well as what the startups are really focused on, and also what we're investing in. And your second question, I think you're 100% right that we get things in senior living 5, if not 10 years after it's been in other industries like hospitality and healthcare and retail. We have automated payments, we have chatbots, we have just simplicity in a way that doesn't exist often in senior living. And it's why I don't just go to senior living conferences and have the same people talk all the time, because we really need to learn from external industries. Go to CES, go to HIMMSS, go to South by Southwest and learn what the consumer is experiencing in other markets, and then bring that valuable experience into senior living. And so I don't know that there's one category that I think we have done better than others, except we really are caring individuals. If you are in senior living, you care about the people that you work with and that you serve and that you work for. I think that we are finding technologies in places like HIMMSS and in healthcare that allow us to honor the individual that we're serving. So in the care environment, we are a part of that continuum, and we're finding the homes that we create, the communities that we create, can also bring valuable resources like telehealth and like supportive environments with technology for voice-first technology, environmental access, smart home technology. And we're seeing more and more of that move from hospitality and healthcare and into senior living. So we're finally there.
Going back to your relationship with Nobi, Roland was the CEO that I first interviewed this morning. Do you know if that technology that they are bringing into that fall prevention lamp actually existed in acute before? Or is that an example of, wow, this came in here first and maybe, or at least at the same time, not 10 years late?
Yeah, so I'm excited that Nobi actually was founded by individuals who know the senior care and senior living environment, that workflow. They've run homes before, communities before, and they know the pain points of that workforce as well as the individual consumers. And when you come from strict healthcare background or acute, you tend to be medically focused and not necessarily human-centric. And so a lot of the designs have form factors that, while they look okay in a hospital setting, they're really not beautiful. They're not something we want in our homes. And so that, I think, is something that Nobi is doing well. Their design and their form factor is attractive in the home environment.
My last question, Sarah, as we start to wrap up, is you mentioned you don't spend the majority of your time in the senior care convention space. You're learning from outsiders' perspective. Can you give me an example in the last year or two that you've went to South by Southwest and you brought in an idea like, oh, I know how to take this brilliant idea and translate it and how it's going to help senior living?
Well, let me correct if I said that. I also go to every senior living and senior care conference as well, but I'm on the road a lot. I just think we definitely need to step outside our comfort zone and learn from other industries as well. I would say that We're looking at robotics for serving in hotels, for instance, and we're finally bringing that into busing tables and serving in the dining room where maybe you have a staff shortage or maybe you want to provide better customer service at the table side instead of busing the tables. So that type of thing. I think finally we're seeing POS systems. Hugo, for instance, has an engagement platform, and one of the only ones, if not the only one, that has a module for POS systems so that you can not just track what you're doing with a resident and what they're purchasing, but actually charge and bill for it all in the same system instead of needing a separate system, which we have in other things like healthcare and hospitality, but not in senior living. So some of those things that are more consumer friendly are now finally coming our way in senior living.
Better turn mute off. Sarah, thank you so much for joining LTC Heroes. Hopefully I'll keep running into you, whether it be senior convention or back next year in HIMMSS. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.